You said to rewatch V, the limited series from the 80s, because you claimed it held up. And I sat through all of that, my friend. And I hold you personally accountable.
I stand by that. That is the greatest science fiction show that has ever aired. Hi there, and welcome to Hav and Charles Talk Comics. This is Season 4, Episode 4, The Dark Knight Returns and Panic in the Disco. Superman Panic in the Disco. Hav's going to correct me real quick here. I am Charles, your host, and I am here with my co-host and very good friend, Javier Gonzalez. Hi, Hav. How are you?
I'm good, Charles. How are you?
I'm doing great. This has been a fun morning. It's fun, Hav. It's fun.
I like all the technology since the Great Depression that's come about. So first of all, it's Panic in the Sky is what we're going to talk about. And just so everybody knows, I had moved my whole setup upstairs because we're doing some stuff in the house, and that's where the desk is now, is going to be. However, I failed to think about the fact that my docking station is not hardwired into the router, and we had a huge lag. It was like those weird, I don't know if you've ever seen those older movies on TV where sometimes the audio's just off and it's all weird. I'm guessing that's what it was like for you, except worse, because apparently there was like a 2 or 3 second delay.
Yeah, it was exactly like that. It was sometimes when I'm watching like Netflix on my television, streaming stuff, it'll get that lag, and I reboot the system because I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, it's not really that far off, but the fact that their lips are moving and then they're saying it or vice versa, and that was what was going on. Is we do this with FaceTime up so we can see each other's lovely faces, and Hav's mouth was moving and just talk, and nothing was coming through my headphones. And I'm like, okay, that is not going to be something we can record. That is going to be the most and it really even got, as we're trying to diagnose it, we really had to turn that part off and go through the FaceTime, because you can't, he's just, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And it's like, or I'm going to do this, and just kept going back and forth, because evidently he was getting me in real time and I was 3 seconds later, and it almost would have worked if we were both lagged the same amount. It would have worked better.
Well, and that's where you get, I think I already made the reference to like the Great Depression or I don't know if I did already on the podcast.
You made that. I've been constantly, we've been rebooting the clean feed, and I can name Hav on it. And I started the first time we rebooted the clean feed. That's the recording thing we use on the computer. Clean feed, it's free. It's great. If you want to do a podcast, you can sit miles from each other and do it right into Chrome. On this website. I highly recommend it. This is not a paid thing, but you know what? I should promote them. They let me do this for free. So every time I redo it, I've renamed him. First, he was just Hav. The next time it was Hav, the Greatest Generation, Gonzalez. The next time he was Hav, Grandpa. And right now we're on the last one. It's Hav, what's a computer, Gonzalez?
Yes, because I'm asking pretty inane questions probably. Like Charles knows a lot more about computers than I do. And then finally, you know what, though? I think I was the one that was like, oh, by the way, my router, my docking station isn't hardwired into...
You mean when you finally gave me pertinent information?
When I finally thought, hey, maybe it's important that my docking station that everything is hooked up into is now not hardwired into my router, and maybe that's the delay.
I think that possibly was part of it. Like I said before we started recording, I can't believe we're recording all this. I apologize to all of you, especially anybody that knows anything about computers who are like, y'all are fucking morons.
And you're welcome, everybody. This has been Hav and Charles Talk Connectivity, computers.
Yeah.
Technology?
Oh, I like Hav and Charles Talk Connectivity, because it doesn't just have to be. It just doesn't have to be about computers. It can be about how we connect with our fellow man.
Exactly. Okay. So, yes. So happy to be doing this. We're now getting into a rhythm where we're reading and recording the pod on a pretty regular basis. It's a Sunday morning. I'm all jacked up on the caffeine and the coffee, and I'm raring to go. So I did suggest Superman Panic in the Sky from the first issue of that long-ish story was his first issue was February 1992. Charles suggested The Dark Knight Returns, which the first issue of that came out in March of 86.
Yes. So I guess we're going to talk about, well, I told you that at the beginning of the last episode that we were going to probably next time mine would be first.
Yeah,
so
and you're right.
And I was correct, but you still did an old one.
I did, but let's start with The Dark Knight. So I'd never heard of this before. It was a revelation to me. Now it's my humor. That
was
Charles,
a joke.
Hey Charles, did I tell you I went to the doctor recently?
Hey, the concussed goldfish. Actually,
I cracked myself up. Oh, so yeah, Dark Knight Returns.
He's cracking himself up because during the whole debacle with trying to get this up, he did that joke 7 times.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. Of course, not of course. I guess there's some people that probably don't like this Batman story. I, of course, think it's one of the best, if not the best, Batman story ever. It's definitely top 5, if not 3, or for me, probably top 2.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of that. It was Frank Miller was the auteur. I'm going to use that phrase because he was the writer, he was the artist, the penciler. I think Klaus Jensen's inked it. Maybe that's from memory because I did not write down his name. No, not trying to poo-poo on his contribution, but this was a Frank Miller joint, and it was awesome. I guess Charles, I'm going to ask, what did you think? But I think I know the answer.
I really liked it, and full disclosure, it was really funny when I started reading it. I was like, holy crap, I may have only ever read this once because I think I really more remembered the next one that they did. That I think I've read that one more, which is funny because this one's better than the sequel. This was immensely better. It's not as violent. It is not as dark and gritty. Although, by the way, let me be perfectly blunt. It is dark. It is gritty. It is both sides are everybody's accusing everybody of being a fascist. Everybody in it is an idiot. Everybody in it is an idiot. I mean, just completely. Hav has to like it because unlike last week when he hated Mark Russell's thing because he didn't have mutants in it, this had mutants in it. Now, they're not the traditional mutants, but it does have mutants. I even did a screenshot of the most hideous of which has to be the brutal slayings of 3 nuns last week by the gang known as the Mutants. So that was for Hav. They have mutants. I will try to only suggest things. I lie. I'm not going to suggest. My next suggestion today does not have mutants in it. But you won't even be able to go, why, this should have mutants in it. You won't have that.
These mutants were not mutants like from the Marvel 616 or any Marvel mutants.
Oh, so you're saying you don't like it?
No, I do. I do like.
No, it was a gang. It was a gang.
It was a gang. They called themselves a mutant, but they sharpened their teeth, or I don't know if they were physically altered in some way because that one guy's a hulking massive.
Well, yeah, I just think he's a hulking massive person because they have these in the Batman universe. They have these freakish people all the time that aren't changed anyway, but they've clearly not just a regular person. I also have to confess something about this. Contrary to my normal thing, I literally, there you go.
Hey,
I literally took notes on this.
You mentioned that in the text, and I was shocked and astonished.
I have a page and a half of notes. And they're more just jotting things down that I want to talk about while we talk about this. This really is, I said in the podcast the last podcast, if you listened to it, I referenced this talking about not everything has to be the Dark Knight because I do feel this is this and Watchmen are 2 things that they went this dark and gritty route, and they were getting Batman back to its original thing after the campy stuff they had to do in the 60s where they moved to the show and Batman had gotten a little more campy than this hard-boiled detective that he used to be. And that's great because that's what Batman is. The problem that comes from that is, okay, now everybody's like, this is what a comic book has to be. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It's just like any other kind of, dare I say it, literature or entertainment. There can be a broad range of things that allow other people to enjoy something that just don't always want to see somebody who beats the ever-loving fuck out of criminals.
Well, and funny that you mentioned Watchmen because this is one of the notes I made. So this debuted, Dark Knight Returns, March of '86. Watchmen debuted in September of 1986. So
DC was doing something.
yeah, they had decided to do something there, at least in part, because you know what? Close on the heels of this, I know I bring it up often because I love it, but Justice League / Justice League International debuts in '88, which is like we said, you can have the light and campy and fun and humor that I love in Justice League International, and that run by DeMatteis, God, I always butcher his name, Giffen and Kevin Maguire, but then you can have, you know, Alan Moore doing his thing with Dave Gibbons on Watchmen, and you can have Frank Knight playing in the Batman sandbox, and like you said, bringing it back to the dark and gritty. Go ahead.
I do. I like that because, you know, I like the noir stuff. I like a dark take sometimes. I just don't want every take to be dark. I just get so tired of it just spirals down and down and down. A lot of people complain sometimes about the reboots of characters, but I think part of that reboot is the realization of, okay, we've taken it down. Let's take my favorite. A lot of times they get Spider-Man bogged down so much because a writer has just built this thing, and they just keep piling this stuff up on Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then they have to kind of reset it because they're like, oh my God, you can only go through so much before you just quit. I mean, nobody can take all of this. So this is kind of, Batman is kind of his raison d'etre is that he can just take it, but it's what he's really doing is he's dishing it out. No matter what happens, he's dishing it out. The first thing I wrote down about this is because I wrote it down when they did an origin. They did the origin in it, and they do the origin all the time, and they do the origin, and people complain, well, they always do the origin. We all know how Batman does, oh, well, why do we have to see them kill Martha and whatever her husband's name is? Martha and Thomas Wayne every single time. The thing is, and I realize this, and I may have heard this somewhere before, we have to see it because this is what Batman and Bruce Wayne sees every single fucking moment of his life. This is all he is that instant. He cannot get out of it.
And you can do it like they did here, where it's not a whole issue or a whole. It's done well.
Well, yeah,
it's done organically in it. Mm-hmm. It's not like a rehash of blow by blow. It's part of the story, so that if you have somebody that comes to this at first blush has never read a Batman comic book in their life, you get the context of the character, which is important. Exactly. Like you said,
it's the Stan Lee. You have to think every single comic book could be somebody's first. So right. So even though you're writing this linear thing, you still have to be able to read that as a standalone comic. I do think we've lost some of that sometimes because they're at least Marvel, at least in its linear ones, are still doing a synopsis at the front, a written synopsis of what's come before, so you can jump in and go, oh, okay, this is the pertinent information for this comic.
I've noticed they started doing that where they do the little paragraph at the beginning to kind of get you up to speed. I like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's also when there's so much backstory.
Oh yeah,
you almost can't do it. I mean, then you get the Chris Claremont in the X-Men in the 80s where he's got to go through the X-Men are hated and feared, and they live in a mansion because there's a school, and, you know, there's different ways to do it. So if you haven't read this, or just for a quick recap, it's 10 years since Batman has gone away in Gotham. And you see if I remember correctly, you see an older Bruce having dinner with Commissioner Gordon kind of near the beginning.
He's 55 and Commissioner Gordon is 70. I actually did some research on some stuff because I was trying to figure out what their ages were, because canonically Batman starts at 25. The Batman you see in the regular mainstream comics is about 29, 30, right in that age. So he's been doing it for 4 or 5 years. So he did it till he was 45 and then quit, because good Lord, doing it at 45. So I mean, he's with him, and he drinks, and Gordon clearly knows who he is. Yep. He knows he's Batman, but that's always been the thing I've liked, is sometimes when they kind of hint that, you know what, he obviously knows who he is. He's a good detective. He's figured it out, but he likes Batman, and he likes Bruce Wayne. So It's like, okay. And he figured out he was drinking. He makes the comment that now when you drink champagne, it's not ginger ale in the glass, but nobody noticed. Well,
and putting on the big Playboy act for everybody, so they think you're a ne'er-do-well or whatever, a lech.
Yes.
And you also get in this. Look, I'm just going to kind of go blow by blow a little bit. You get Harvey Dent having been quote unquote rehabilitated at Arkham and the plastic surgery to make him look like
Yes.
Harvey Dent again.
Yes, and one of the
Go ahead.
greatest thing, that's another thing I wrote down. One of the greatest things about that is when you see him and they're talking about him, he's in bandages, and the way they did it is it's a 2-panel piece, and one panel is half his face in bandages, and the other panel is the other half of his face in bandages. And between the two, he says maybe Gordon on one side, and he says is right about me, Harvey Dent, because Gordon is like adamant that he doesn't get out.
Yeah.
So the art in this, just the way they did it, it was a 16, again, this is research, they did a 16 panel page as the basic, which that is an enormous amount of panels. And they did a lot of the talking heads. If you've read Watchmen, it was kind of the same idea in Watchmen sometimes. It's just this boom, 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 boom. It's dialogue, 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 dialogue. Because they kept doing news shows in this where they had talking heads. So it made it really perfect because they put the talking head in each panel with their speech under it as they went through.
And they're setting the stage for this this dystopian Earth and Gotham where global warming is a thing. They're talking about the record heat, although he doesn't say global warming. They're having record heat waves of 112 degrees in Gotham, and I thought that was interesting. That way back in '86, Frank Miller is putting that out there.
Especially Frank Miller.
Say again.
Especially Frank Miller.
Yeah. There's that.
He probably doesn't believe in climate change now.
The psychiatrist is always on. Speaking of the talking heads, there's a lot on the TV. There's this newscast, and they're talking to the psychiatrist that's thinks he's rehabilitated Harvey. It's Dr. Wolper, Wolper, who is convinced.
He's the guy with the mustache, right?
Yes.
Did he not look like Frank Zappa?
He looked like Frank Zappa. I don't know if that was on purpose. Maybe it was.
So Frank Zappa had a bunch of television appearances where Frank Zappa was incredibly liberal, and he would go on with these uber conservative people on Crossfire type shows. I'm dating myself on that too.
Yeah. Which they had on the Crossfire type show.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Frank Zappa would go on it, and he would puncture a lot of this conservative stuff because they'd be this stuff, and he would break it down into just the simple, why can't we be nicer to each other? So I kind of think he drew him like that because he had him taking the side of, the funny thing is, he had him taking the side of monsters and quite frankly being wrong. But then again, so was the other guy. Almost everybody's stuff, it was so diametrically opposed to each other and so bad on either end. You know what I mean?
Yes. No, it was obviously the extremes of both sides. Because then you have, this is Reagan era.
Yes.
80s.
Yes. And
Ronald Reagan eventually plays a pretty prominent role.
And I loved how decrepit and insane he made him, including in the very end when he's driving himself around on this little scooter.
Yeah.
I mean, and this was, yeah.
I don't remember scooters being a thing back then either. Maybe they were, and I just wasn't around people old enough.
Not like a rascal scooter like that, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think they had first started coming out, but yeah.
Oh, I don't know if the Crossfire started here. Lana Lang is the pro Batman part of from Metropolis, I think, with the Daily Planet TV something. This part of the pro Batman camp, and I forget who's the anti-Batman in that Crossfire, that back and forth where they're facing each other in profile. But you have that. Speaking of the Crossfire, Harvey gets out. And then you realize he still sees himself.
Well, you don't realize that. That's the giveaway at the end. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, that's the end. Okay.
Yeah. No, and that's fine. But because he immediately goes back to crime.
Right. And maybe not this issue, but not in the first issue, but eventually.
But he gets out and goes back to crime. You see it happen.
And Batman, is that what? And now this is my ignorance or my lack of remembering. Is that what prompts Bats to? But that and the mutants overrunning the city.
The mutants are overrunning the city, and I think that's part of what prompts him. And he just can't take it. He's been gone for so long, and the city has continued to deteriorate. And then they're letting out Two-Face, and it's just like, nope, I got to get back into it. And so he has a night where he just brutalizes the mutants and brutalizes anybody doing crime. And I mean, that is a simple term. It is the old school brutalization.
the character Carrie Kelly and her friend are walking through the arcade, which is notorious for having mutants and mutants attacking, and it's lit up, and she's like, "Oh, it's all lit up. We'll be fine." And in that first issue, Batman saves Carrie Kelly and her friend, and he brutalizes those mutants that were attacking her. And she immediately knows who he is, and she goes home. And very quickly, I think in the next issue, she makes herself a costume, and she decides she's going to be the new Robin.
Yeah, and they weren't just brutally attacking her. That was clearly they were going to rape these two 13, 14-year-old girls.
Yes, they talk about sliced and dice, and they're going to do some other stuff.
Yes, they're going to start by roughing them up, and then I want to go back to something that in the beginning there was a written thing talking about. This is one of my notes. The bar you can go to, and the gist of it's where the heroes that are kind of retired because they had to go to hang out. And they talk about all of this stuff, and the bartender is the Martian Manhunter. And one of the things is what they don't talk about is the man they're scared of, who stops them with pain. Talking about Batman, it's just and I love that it's the man they're scared of who stops them with pain, because that was the origin story of Batman. Is I have to get. Criminals are a cowardly, superstitious lot. You can make them scared, and that's what he does. He makes them scared. He instills fear, and that is his whole thing. He's punishing the person that killed his parents every night.
So the first book, and they do call them books, the first book is called The Dark Knight Returns. That is literally, and I don't even know if this was called at the time The Dark Knight Returns. I think it wasn't.
They did that when they put it together as an anthology, and now that's just what it's known for.
Okay. And then in the next issue is called Dark Knight Triumphant, and I'm just jumping around a little bit. I think
that's fine.
Robin is dressed up and I think finds Batman, and they kind of he says, "Okay, you're in, but we're gonna have some rules,
and you have to train. In 2 weeks, you'll be ready." Now, I mean, good Lord, he trained Dick over like a year or two. He trained Jason over less time than that, and then in the canon comics regretted it because he feels, and matter of fact, Dick kind of blames him because he's like, dude, you sent his ass out there without the training you gave me, and beyond that, I was better off because I was a fucking acrobat, so you're just teaching me to fight. All that other crap that you can't do, I was doing already.
Well, and speaking of that, there are references about Batman's regret in this, about his regret about Jason.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you picked up on that, which this is 2 years prior to Death in the Family.
Picked up on that. I screenshot something, and it's in the Batcave, and you can see the spotlight of the Robin costume, and it says, huge, empty, silent as a church, waiting, as the Bat was waiting. And now the cobwebs grow and the dusk thickens in here as it does in me. And he laughs at me, curses me, calls me a fool. He fills my sleep, he tricks me, brings me here when the night is long and my will is weak. He struggles relentlessly, hatefully to be free. I will not let him. I gave my word for Jason. Never, never again. No, he is fucked up about Jason.
And he talks in his inner monologue. He's talking to Dick about his regrets. He's like, he's talking to Dick.
And he and Dick do not talk. Right. Dick has written him off. He's gone. We never see Dick Grayson. There's no Nightwing in this. There's no Nightwing in a ridiculous costume like he was in the next thing. That costume cracks me up, by the way. Sorry. That's tangent.
Fine. Yeah. Hey, call forward. Oh, yeah. I don't know. They also get early on Batman when he's coming out of retirement at the age of 55 that, look, he's slower. He's older than we are. And he's doing all these amazing feats of strength, quite frankly, and acrobatics, but he's slower. He said, and then a couple times he just says, when you hear him talking in his head, he's like, he gets lucky.
Oh yeah,
that's a recurrent thing. Or if he thinks he might bite it, this is a good way to die.
He got into that, and that is honestly, I guess I don't know if that was a trope then, but it's kind of a trope now, and I love that because that was one of my favorite things in Black Widow was her Elena.
Yeah.
Elena kept saying, "This would be a good way to die," or "Ooh, this would not be a good way to die."
Yes, and she was hilarious.
Oh my God,
Oh, so at some point in these first two issues, the second book is called Dark Knight Triumphant because he does go toe to toe with the mutant leader.
Yes, and
the first
he
time.
beats him
And he beats him
by cheating, according to the mutant leader. But Batman doesn't cheat. Batman knows you win the fight. There's no cheating. You win the fight.
Well, the first time.
Oh, that's right.
The first time.
That's how he meets.
Carrie Kelly comes up from behind with a crowbar and saves the day, and then he takes him out, and then he's in prison, and then all the mutants are not convinced, like, he shivved him, or I forget what terminology they're using, like he kind of cheated. So Batman's like, I gotta do this proper.
That's right.
And he arranges with Gordon to let him out, but in a battlefield, an arena in mud, where the odds are more even because the guy doesn't know how to fight in mud.
Yeah, well, the guy doesn't know. The guy doesn't have Batman's fight training because, I mean, Batman has an enormous amount of combat training, and this is just a mutant. It's not Bane. He's just a freak of nature strong. So he knows if he fixes the battlefield in his direction, he already knows he's a better fighter. So if he can slow down the speed of the guy a little bit, he can triumph over him, and he does because it's Batman.
And he does.
If Batman has enough time, to prepare, he never loses.
Exactly, and he had the time.
Yeah.
You also
one of the greatest screenshots is right around after this, after he's had the ever-loving tar beat out of him, and Alfred is holding up the Batman suit and says, sir, there is a precedent for wheelchair detectives.
Yes.
I absolutely
Perry Mason?
love.
Are we doing Perry Mason there?
Perry Mason. I think there's been there's been some others. There's been some others who don't leave their house, don't leave their chair. Nero Wolfe is the author. Nero Wolfe is the author, right? Not the character.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway,
I have no idea.
Hey, here's a thing. Charles could be wrong there.
Ooh.
You can go to havencharles.com and send us an email about Nero Wolfe or, about literally anything in this podcast. And we would love to read it on the air or not read it on the air if you tell us not to. If you tell us, hey, you can talk about it, but don't read it, I'll do that. I'm probably going to talk about any mail you get, even if you say, hey, don't read it, don't even reply. It'll be like, yeah, so we got mail. They said we couldn't read it. And I'm not even going to show it to Hav because it'll make him sad. Anyway.
It would drive me crazy. But that's okay. Throughout this, you get Frank Miller's take, I think, on talking head politicians that won't take a stance on stuff. You get the wishy-washy mayor that before the final battle, you had the first battle where Carrie Kelly saves the day, and then the mayor wants to negotiate with the leader of the mutants. And he does a one-on-one that Gordon takes him to with the leader of the mutants.
Yes.
And that goes poorly. The mutant leader rips his throat out and kills him.
He kills the mayor.
So, and then the new mayor, the vice mayor or whatever, the deputy mayor that's now acting mayor, is like, I'm still open for negotiations. Yeah. And you're like, what is going on? He just killed your predecessor.
Don't negotiate. Don't
negotiate with terrorists.
Well, and this is all on the backdrop of Commissioner Gordon is reached his retirement age because he's
forced retirement. It sounds like
it's a retirement age. There's a rule, I guess, in Gotham, and there are jobs that have that. So he's not allowed to. He has to have a new commissioner, and they named someone, and they named her because she's a woman and she's anti-Batman. And Gordon at first goes, "Oh, a woman," and then he meets her, and because he knows who she is, but they start talking, and she's like, "I just want to be like you. I've always admired you." And he's like, "Well, hell, your record's incredible." So there's all of a sudden there's this mutual because he made a comment. I can't believe they picked a woman. Yep. It's like, you settle down there, you dickhead.
Very
Hob-like.
Very of the time. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
See, that was a callback from last week.
Look at this.
With all your sexism. Yeah.
Right, because that's one of my go-tos. Yes. Sexism.
About the joking. Yes, it is.
What was I going to say about her?
I have 3 full seasons of this to
edit together in a montage.
Well, to back up my point.
So when Bats beats after he kills the mayor, Gordon arranges for the mutant leader to be
mutant
released.
Leader killed the mayor, not Bats.
Sorry.
I just want to know, and I'm sure everybody listen. Yes, after Bats kills the mayor, I'm like, whoa, yeah. So this story took a real big turn.
Yes, it got really weird. The mutants that are still free are now the what do they call themselves? The Army of the Bat.
Yeah, some of them.
They start
So it
wearing-
destroyed. It destroys. They destroy that the whole mutant thing.
The whole mutant gang, yeah.
And so they kind of morph. Some of them decide that it's the time of the Batman, and they call themselves the Bats, I think, or something like that. And they've tattooed a bat, the Batman emblem across their eyes like a mask.
See, I wasn't gonna, but I was thinking, yeah, they probably tattooed it.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming they tattooed it. These are mutant freaks that do weird stuff, and they are brutalizing just shoplifters. There's a news report talking to a guy, also talking about his store was getting robbed. He's just a cashier.
That's right.
And they came in, and there was an undercover. There was a cop there in plain clothes, a detective, and he didn't see the third guy, and they were all dead. And then the Bat guys came and they slaughtered the 3 criminals, and then they told him he was too cooperative and he didn't deserve to be a cashier, so he holds up where they've cut his fingers off as punishment for not fighting the 3 guys with shotguns. So yeah, they were taking it a little far. And
there's another reference later on where they decided the guy doing 3-card Monte shouldn't be doing that, and they cut his hands off.
Yes.
They report that.
Yes.
Oh, it's Sons of the Bat.
Sons of the Bat.
Sons of Batman.
Okay. And then the funny thing is, the little Robin girl, she had done something to a 3-card Monte guy, because when she first put on the costume and was learning to jump around before she hooked up with him, she snuck up behind a 3-card Monte guy and stuck a firecracker in his back pocket and lit it and ran off.
Yeah. Yes.
That I thought was cute.
Well, and then also she is instrumental in getting all the mutants to the big final fight, because she goes undercover.
Yes.
And it starts spreading the word that this is going down at this location.
Yes, and
so
he
all
wants
the
them
mutants,
there.
He wants them. He wants a show. He wants to show them.
He wants a show. That's right. Because that was her first. That was her first real job with him. And I love the fact that he keeps saying, "If you disobey, you're fired." And then she disobeys because she's a computer person. She's brilliant. She saves his life multiple times because she disobeys him, and he comes back after she reprograms, because he's like, "Let the computer do it on the that wasn't my
Batwing or whatever you call it.
The Bat helicopter." And he says, "You just use this command," and she doesn't do it. And then instead she goes, you can see her going tick, 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 tick as she reprograms it, saves him. And then he's back in the thing. And she said, "So am I fired?" He's like, "No, but next time you need to obey me." Kind of thing. It's like, oh, no, I can't.
Also, for the big fight, he shows up. Is it the big fight? I forget if it is. It's one of the fights. He shows up in the Batmobile, and he talks about how it was Dick Grayson when he was a young man or young kid named it. Only a child would name something the Batmobile.
The Batmobile. Yeah, because when they're driving the Batmobile.
But that Batmobile very much looks like the Christopher Nolan Batmobile.
Well,
it's hulking, it's huge.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan took a lot from the Dark Knight Returns. That's his Batman idea.
Yeah. But I thought that was cool. From 86, fast forward how many years? At the very end of issue 2 or book 2, Superman's talking to the president. And the president's saying, "Hey, you got to do something about this." And Superman's telling him, "Well, he's not going to surrender.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go more extreme." And
I'd have to. Yeah. Well, Superman's basically saying, "I don't want to kill him. He's my, he doesn't want to kill him." And I mean, and this Superman is killing people because he's in a war. And I mean, he's destroying planes, and we don't see him saving anybody. And if you're not seeing Superman save the guy, when he comes out on fire, with the jet fuel burning off of his body,
there's no little parachutes coming out.
Yeah, there's
like
no parachutes coming out. No, he was straight up murdering the Russians trying to take over Corto Maltese, which evidently is somewhere in the Caribbean.
Or the South America.
It's an island. It's an
island nation, and off of South America.
Off of South America.
In Corto Maltese, they mentioned Corto Maltese in Batman '89 because that's where Vicky Vale got her Pulitzer for her photography. They mentioned that.
Vicky Vale. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I thought that was cool. That Corto Maltese.
No, that's their Madripoor. That's DC's Madripoor.
Well, it's also a puppet state of the United States. It's a banana republic, very much. That I think it's very clear. Reagan administration had propped up, and the Soviets are trying to be more pro-communist, of course. Exactly. Well, exactly.
In this, it's kind of like a Cuba thing. They're trying to get into there, and yeah.
Well, and then this is all coming to a head in the backdrop because that's why Superman's exploding planes because it's getting pretty bad, and the Soviets are getting ready to maybe first strike, and some of
Yes.
in the background, talking head panels without talking heads really. It's just like of course the Hawk generals are wanting the president to be ready to first strike, and he's like, nope, we're not going to first strike. Blah blah blah. Book 3 is called The Hunt.
Okay.
The Hunt of the Dark Knight, or for the Dark Knight. I
Yes.
think.
Yeah, they stopped Two-Face. He saves some people, and that's when he finds out, when he stops Two-Face, Two-Face removes his mask, his bandages, that he's just kept the bandages on, and he says, see what they did to me. And he just looks normal. Well, he just looks like, I mean, he doesn't look perfect, but he's not scarred and disfigured. And then Batman, it switches where Batman realizes what's going on, and then you see him, it was just his whole face just mangled, and he realizes that instead of fixing his face in his psychosis, they've destroyed the whole thing. So
Harvey thinks
he's so there's no more Two-Face. He's just, well, he is just the evil side of him instead of the two faces.
Yeah, it's sad.
It is.
The next issue. Oh, at some point during all this, when Batman comes back into action, there is a panel or two where the Joker's been comatose in Arkham forever, and I swear it's just one or two panels where he's just smiling, and because he hears the news that Batman's back, and it rejuvenates.
Oh yeah, the Joker's been catatonic the entire time, and then he hears Batman's back, and he's like, oh, okay, I guess it's time to wake up. I took a screenshot of something though, going back to Robin, and it was around the Two-Face time, I think, and it says, Robin, this is Batman's inner voice, Robin the boy hostage, that's what Two-Face called you. You hated that.
Yeah, and that was a thing there for a while in the early comics, I think,
Yeah.
where Robin was always getting tied up.
Oh yeah.
And held hostage. In the third issue, the third book, though, that same Dr. Walper that had supposedly rehabilitated Harvey Dent has now rehabilitated, according to him, the Joker, to the point where the Joker's released and is going to appear on their version of Dave Letterman.
He's not released. He's released to go on that. So he's still in custody. Well, those are two different things.
You're right.
They weren't crazy enough to do what they just did with Two-Face. Although they're going to let the fucking Joker go on television to, yes, did you say the Dave Letterman show?
Yeah. They call him Dave. Endocrinine.
Endocrinine. Yeah, but it is clearly David Letterman.
And then Paul is a musical guy. I mean, it looks like Dave Letterman. It looks like Paul.
Oh yeah, no, it is clearly David Letterman.
And the other guest on the show is an analog for Dr. Westheimer. What was her name? Dr. Westheimer?
I couldn't come up with her name, and I forgot to look it up. She's the sex therapist.
Yes, she's a sex therapist. She's a little older lady, and that's and talking in a German accent, or I think it's a German accent. Sex is good. Everybody should have sex. And then on the Dave Letterman show, the psychiatrist that's there with Joker, Dave asks him something about why is Batman the way he is, and he says sexual repression. Easy.
Oh yeah, and that was and she's just all like, oh, sexual repression. That is a very bad thing.
And I don't think I'm spoiling anything. Guess what? You let Joker out.
Yeah, he has gotten with the doll maker, or is it the toy man?
Yeah, doll man, toy man, toy.
Which one of the? Because aren't those two different? There's the toy maker and there's the doll man.
They never say his name, do they?
But I think they did. I think they did during a fight. They do because and everything's dolls. So
yes.
he's sending in these dolls, and the Joker tells everyone, "I'm going to kill everyone in here." And the first thing he does is he kisses the sex therapist.
Yes.
And he had his lipstick on, and it's the Joker stuff, and she gets the death rictus. And
with the big smile.
Yes.
The grotesque smile. And then one of the dolls comes in and sprays everybody, and they all die.
And everyone dies, and they send in to get him, and he escapes, because that's what the Joker do.
Yep. And he escapes to the carnival.
Yes. Well, duh.
Down the street. And there's a thing with that, too, because later on, I think it is a good point to mention. Like I said, Jason Todd and Death in the Family happens in 88. The Killing Joke happens in 88 by Alan Moore. And the
really?
carnival plays a big, yes.
Well, the carnivals, in fairness, the Joker was always at an abandoned theme park. That one's...
I know, but it's...
I mean, somebody wrote... I get that. Hold on. But somebody wrote recently, I saw that one of the things, if you run for mayor of Gotham, you should do is tell people you're going to get rid of all of the abandoned theme parks, all of the abandoned toy warehouses, I mean, they're just not going to give any of these people anywhere to go to. These are just, you got to get rid of the abandoned novelty prop department with giant coins and
Yes.
If
anybody orders a giant dinosaur for some reason,
you got to get rid of that.
Should hit it.
Yes, you just
or
have
a giant
to,
penny.
Yes, you have to just get rid of all of those things. That's it. That'll clean up Gotham more than anything. So that was one of the things I wrote down talking about that joke. Not talking about that joke, but it's tangentially related because they were kind of talking in the Talking Head stuff about, does Batman cause these criminals?
That's a big deal.
Is it because he puts on this bat suit to fight low-level crimes, all of a sudden these other ones decide, these other criminals, that, well, I don't want to be one of these people, so I'm going to dress up and do a thing. And this didn't come about here. This is always, is that something, does dressing up and fighting crime cause the criminals to do the same thing?
Yep,
so,
chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention at the beginning of book 3, it opens with this neo-Nazi Bruno person. That's what they call him, her, with breasts, with swastikas on them.
Yeah.
And some of the mutants are now their henchmen.
Dude.
And Batman's dressed up as a bag lady and takes them down, but then Superman intervenes at some point, I thought. And Superman kind of tells him, hey, just, knock it off or I'm going to have to come back or something I swear there's some kind of interaction with them where they're talking, because they talk at the end of issue 2, Superman and Bat, and they're in the pasture and Superman's out there with his chest puffed out in a flowing white shirt dressed as Clark Kent, and they're going to ride horses together presumably, but then he's got to go take care of the Cordo Maltese thing.
Yeah, he's back and forth from Cordo Maltese. Clark is. He's trying to save the world while Bruce is fucking shit up in Gotham.
And then, look, I'm just going to name the last book. I'm not saying we need to move to it, but book 4 is The Dark Knight Falls.
Okay.
And
yes, that he does. Part of the reason they really go after him. This is one of the other things I wanted to bring up. I really enjoyed the back and forth in the media about Harvey Dent, talking about, can you get better, and as a villain, can you get better or not, and that they can heal him, because in real life people can get better if they can. I wrote under that, in comic books you can't. If this is you are always going to be that. You're always going back to that, because it's that cyclical thing with a comic book, a linear comic, that you're almost always, that some other writer's going to come along and go, nope, we know he's been living this good life, but now we're going to put him in a bad thing, and we know what happens when we put him in a bad thing, and he's going to go bad. That's why
there's umpteen examples of that.
Yes. Now, I do enjoy a lot of the times when they put them in that situation where they're doing that, and then they flip the script on it, where they're like, okay, you see what they're going to do. This guy had been bad. He's been good. He's worked really hard to change his life. We're going to put him in the situation again, and then he does not turn back. I enjoy that, because that's the hardest thing for someone to do, is not to go back to who they were.
Well, speaking of that, in the X-Men comics, your favorite, Magneto goes through that quite a bit when he's headmaster, where he's trying to be good there for a while, but of course he always reverts back. But there is a while where he's headmaster, where he lets himself be tried for his crimes. He's doing good by the New Mutants, etc. Just as an example.
Okay. That's a horrible example. Anyway.
You also get in the last, you get Oliver Queen, sans his left arm.
What the fuck? Which you find out, I wrote that
somehow
down.
Superman
before that happened. There was a comment about Oliver Queen, and I wrote down, I want to know what happened to Oliver Queen, and we never do. Yeah, we still, but even then, because he wasn't in it yet, there was just an aside about Oliver at one point, and then
contextually it becomes very clear. I think Superman happened.
Well, no, we know Superman took his. I'm just saying there was a comment about him that they don't talk about Oliver Queen or something along that lines. And I wrote down, I want to know what happened. And then we get to the point where he's in it, and we still don't know what happened. We don't know why Superman ripped off his fucking arm.
Yeah, to stop him from using a bow and arrow.
And he was in prison
and broke out. But
they're keeping it quiet because they don't tell anybody. Yeah, this billionaire multimillionaire broke out of prison, and this. Now you have to remember, he is the absolute opposite of Batman doing the same kind of thing. I mean, just politically, and because let's be blunt, Bruce Wayne's conservative.
And Oliver
And
Queen
Ollie is a
as-
flaming fucking liberal. I mean,
Yes.
just to the left of, so far to the left of me, he's a different person, and I'm pretty far left.
Same, and I feel like I am too. Yeah, he is a bleeding heart. I mean, to the point where the circle thing.
Yes,
he's
yes,
probably
yes, yes,
pushing
yes.
socialism,
Well,
communism.
But
but
he's where he's standing. He and Bruce are standing around in that circle right next to each other.
yes, I agree. So it's just interesting because he just all of a sudden then he's there and he's going to help out at the end because
because Superman, and
yes, because
and they're also going after him like they went after him, and it's what he do.
and there's some kind of because Batman knows Superman's listening to him, and well, first you get Superman rather having to stop a nuke.
Well, Superman stops a nuke, except he stops it from hitting where it was going to hit. I don't know if it was going to Gotham. I don't know where it was going, but it turns out to be also this giant EMP that takes out everything in the U.S. for a little bit. And they're worried it's the first strike kind of thing. And
Causes a little bit of a nuclear winter there because it's
yeah,
dark.
it causes because it's a huge explosion, and so it's cold now because it was hot before, and now it's cold. They had no power at first, and people were looting, and it was fascinating because it was the two different things. Because this is when he and Robin jump on a horse to the stables and ride out to where the Sons of Batman are, and he claims them. He said, you're going to get training, and we're going to talk about, because he's not happy with the way they're doing things at all. They're going too far for Bruce.
Would you say something?
Yeah, well, they're attacking the victims because the victims were not good enough. So I mean,
no, you're right.
Yeah, and they're killing them too. They're also killing the bad guys.
We haven't talked.
So he grabs them and he goes to fight the looters, and even some of the looters were trying to do the right thing. But that man, the like, no, I had to kill this black guy. He might have had a knife. I'm not racist. Oh, that what I've been talking to the people on the street with what they did during the
thing with the priest. There's all sorts of. That's all. That was. It's just.
It's well written.
It's well written. It
really is.
It seems like it's ahead of its time. It's almost sad that it's not. I mean, that it's still so relevant. A lot of the commentary, that we feel like we progressed so far.
Well, look, man, I'm gonna just say it. Reagan wasn't that much different from Trump. He just did it with a smiling face and avuncular kindness.
He was a better politician.
Yeah. Well, he was an
actor.
Yeah, he was
not a reality.
I mean,
TV
he was a. The funny thing is, he was shitty. He was a shitty actor.
He was a B
He
actor.
really wasn't a good actor, but in comparison to
anybody that can play opposite of Monkey. He was in that Something for Bongo or something that was like one of his big movies.
Yes.
Sorry.
Anybody that has to play opposite a monkey, and actually I think it was a chimpanzee, but
I don't know. I don't remember what kind of primate it was, but I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
I don't.
You get
Bedtime for Bonzo?
There you go. I think that's it.
Okay.
I think you're right.
If I am correct, well, it just popped into my head. If I am correct, you can let us know at havandcharles.com, and we would love to read that on the air. If I'm wrong, you can send it in anyway. I'll cry myself to sleep.
You mentioned the iconic panel where Batman's riding the horse with Carrie Kelly also riding the horse and all the mutants. That is a big panel out of because it switches. It is the big
it's
16,
but sometimes there's like two panels and
it's an iconic panel of Batman riding the horse to lead the charge because all the technology is broken down because of the EMP wave. Speaking of that, there's iconic art throughout this. There's one iconic panel of Batman and Carrie Kelly doing the Batman and Robin jumping into action pose. There's of course an iconic cover of Batman's silhouette through the night sky with lightning in the background. That is now people do homages of that all the time in different comics. It's awesome. There's just a lot of great art in this.
There really was.
At the end, though, you do have Bat somehow just says to Bruce, or not Bat. Bruce says to Clark at some point, "Here's where and when."
Well, no,
right?
No, Superman uses his fire eyes to write where.
That's right.
At his feet. And
right.
He says,
Crime Alley.
Crime Alley. We're going to end this where it begins.
That's right. And then you have the big showdown.
You do. And Batman is setting it up so he can win, but he's also setting it up so he can lose. And he does. He beats he sets it up so at the end he can have Ollie shoot an arrow at him that Superman just reaches out and catches it, and then it releases synthetic kryptonite. And as Bruce thought bubble goes, it costs an incredible amount of money and a lot of hard work
and
to synthesize kryptonite. So fortunately I had both.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. That's right.
It was like, because I got the money. And so that takes him down. And that was the thing, though. After we kind of missed talking about the nuclear bomb. He wrestles this nuclear bomb out into the desert, and it goes off, and it almost kills Superman.
Yeah, Superman is on at full power.
I mean, he is fighting to get up into the sky, and I want to talk about it because it was a really good, well done thing. This emaciated Superman is attempting to fly out of all of this cloud cover, knowing I just have to get to the fucking sun. And you also have to wonder if he's doing that. Well, one, nobody can get there, but nobody's going to be able to go rescue him in that nuclear holocaust area, so he has to get out of it. I was just thinking about that. I was also thinking, well, maybe he's worried that, now they're going to take the chance to kill him off, because Reagan's like, as long as you're on my side, but I knew you could turn on fascists, or always you can turn on me. So he flies up, and so part of this fight is Batman wants to see if he's still weakened, and he is, because he's throwing stuff at him. And, he would have reacted to all of these rockets a lot quicker. I mean, he still stopped them all, but It's just like, yeah. So, and he is basically in the suit from the horrible movie
Batman versus Superman.
And I love the fact that Clark is talking. He says, Clark is talking to me. And we can hear what he's saying to Batman. We can read what he's saying to Batman. But Batman is saying, I can't hear anything in this.
Yeah.
And I know he's still trying to convince me. I know it's just like, and he finally can hear him because Clark is winning this fight. He rips the top off, and he's got it timed. So he had taken a drug, and he's got it timed. So when he kind of wins the fight, although he never would have, he has a heart attack and dies.
Right.
So he is dead. Bruce Wayne is dead. They have a funeral.
They reveal Bruce Wayne is the Bruce. It comes out that Bruce Wayne was the Batman.
It was the Batman. Now Clark is there, and Catwoman is very angry at Clark for showing up.
We forgot about all that. So, oh my gosh, there's that whole sequence of panels where Joker gets out.
Yes,
because he uses Selena Kyle's escort service to put the lipstick on her prostitutes. She gets one congressman to go out on a ledge. She's trying to do something to a senator or mayor, the mayor and the new commissioner Yindel saves his life because Batman says, "You have to go take care of the mayor. I got to go do this."
Well, and he goes to the carnival. We left all of this out because this is one of the reasons why there is an epic battle, and the better battle was between the new Robin and the Toy Man on a roller coaster.
Yes,
it was great, and she saves the day and she kicks ass. I love her. I love a female Robin. I love the fact that someone brought it up to Frank Miller, and he said, it's somebody, I read about it, and it's somebody, I wish I'd have written down the name. Y'all recognize comic book wise. And he was like, oh my God, I love that. You're right. It has to be a girl. It has to be. And it worked really well.
It did. And I don't know how we forgot, but Batman kills the Joker.
No.
Or the Joker. No, the Joker. No, he paralyzes the Joker.
Batman, they're having an epic fight. They are an epic fight. They're going at it. And I got to be honest, this is where Batman went in to kill him. Batman legit went in to kill him. And I got to find there it is. Oh, God, hold on. He's talking about it at one point, talking about the Joker. While he's saving Robin from something, he's holding her, and it says, I'll count the dead one by one. I'll add them to the list, Joker. The list of all the people I've murdered by letting you live.
Yep.
So he thinks his death toll, a lot of people feel this way too, and this might be where they get that, is that if he just killed the Joker, all these people would be alive. He keeps letting him do this because he won't end him. I think that's a little simplistic. But so he goes in there, he's going to kill him. He's going to. That is his plan. He's like, fuck it. I know they're going to come after me. I'm going to kill him. I don't care. He gets to it. He paralyzes him, and the Joker's like, you just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And he's making fun of him. He's like, "Well, I'm not. You paralyzed me. Well, I'm not gonna live like this. They're gonna blame you anyway." And he manages to break his own neck or sever.
Yes.
Actually, is they put it. They didn't say he broke his own neck. He managed to twist enough to finish the severing of his spine, which kills him. So he killed himself, and he says they're going to blame you, and they did. He's killed.
Yes.
By the way, who the fuck? Look, I'm all against murder and all this shit, but if the Joker and Batman existed, and they came out and said that motherfucking Batman, he killed the Joker, I'd be like, God damn, finally.
Time to throw a parade.
Yeah.
Time to throw him a parade.
No, I'm not throwing him a parade, but I'm not like, now's the real time to stop him. Well, let's see if he goes on a murder spree that's not another mass murderer.
So then you get poor Alfred, who, go ahead.
Oh yeah, part of this whole thing is Alfred destroying all of Bruce,
everything,
Wayne Manor, the Batcave, because they don't want him to have anything. Just everything is imploded. Alfred is walking out. It's the action sequence as they're walking away from the explosion and the flame. And he's walking through the snow away from that, and he goes, "Oh." And he says something, and then he crumples and dies. He had a stroke.
Later, he had a stroke and passes away.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I get the feeling that Alfred, they don't do a lot with his character, but do you think he knew Batman lived? Or do you think he thinks Batman died?
No, he was part of that. He was part of him living. No,
because
that's why
all
he's
the
doing
fortune goes to a distant relative, which I can't help but presume is Carrie Kelly.
Well, the money. He kept the money, and all the money is gone. No, all the money is gone. It's gone
to. They mentioned it's gone to some distant cousin.
I thought they mentioned that it went. The property rights went to a distant cousin. The money was just gone.
Oh, I thought all of it went. I thought. Well, they sold all the stock and emptied all the bank accounts.
Yeah, they emptied all the bank. So that money went away. So all that was left was the land. Yeah, well, it went to Bruce. Somewhere. Yeah, no, it went to. He's got it. He has access to it still.
I got you. Not to carry. He
set
up a dummy something.
Yeah, he's got the money was all of the liquid assets were removed, and some distant cousin owns the land because the real property that's left, even though it's just scorched, is going to still be there. So, but then we're at the funeral, and Clark's there. Selina is angry that Clark is there and is screaming at him because we were talking about this, and then they finish. And then the whole time you're seeing that they're running a heart monitor thing going up and down, and you see it go boop, and then Clark turns to what's the young lady's name?
Carrie Kelly.
Carrie Kelly. He turns to Carrie Kelly, looks over at her and winks, and then walks off because he knows he heard his heartbeat. He knows he's alive. Clark ain't going to go dig the guy up. Well, Clark wasn't going to kill him. There's no way Superman was going to kill Batman.
He's going to bring him in.
Yeah, he was going to bring him in. Maybe.
Selina's upset at the funeral. We forgot to mention.
He might have put him in the Fortress of Solitude. I mean, he might not have turned him over to the authorities. Clark does what Clark does.
Speaking of iconic panels, just before not that we need to wrap up, but in the second to last issue, when Batman finds Selina, she's tied up and been brutalized by the Joker and dressed up in a Wonder Woman costume and hogtied, and she says Joker's worse than ever, Bruce. And she's, of course, tells them what he's done with her ladies to use them against politicians, and it's just a really ugh. But the end is nice because then you get something in one of the panels where Bruce mentions that he wanted to time it better than that. He wanted Clark to have already left before his heart started beating again, but didn't time it quite right. And then at the end, you have the whole panels, or big panel maybe, where Bruce is in the cave with some of the mutants and Carrie Kelly. Yeah,
further out in the cave. So this is evidently a huge cave labyrinth. They kind of imploded and destroyed the area where the Batcave had been, and they're starting. We're going to train. We're going to get ready. We have a place to do it, and
we have some work to do. So it was the jumping off point, and that's where I remember the next one that I see. That was what I thought. For some reason, I had completely forgotten about this arc, and that's why I'm glad we read this. I'm glad I didn't suggest the other one. No, I'm glad too. And
this was awesome.
This also made me think of another Superman story where he's being blackmailed by Lex, maybe. What Superman story is that where Lex is the president and he's keeping Kandor hostage or something?
I don't remember that.
And
I haven't read that.
on that.
That's fine.
Well, anyway, that's a different story.
Yeah. This is an amazing comic book. You were talking about it's on the list. It's one of the top whatever. I did see briefly somebody has it on the list of most overrated comic books. I'm like, dude, I'm not even going to read your list. I'm sorry. I get opinions are different, but I'm like, I'm sorry. This is not an overrated comic book. I've read overrated comic books. I've read Justice League International. So,
I knew it was coming. Well played, sir. Oh, you cracked yourself up. You cracked yourself up again.
I don't even mean that. I don't think it's overrated. Nobody really likes it.
Oh, shalaka-laka. Boom. Goes the dynamite.
I may have to read that again.
It's not overrated. I mean,
No.
this Batman Year One, also Frank Miller.
Also
maybe?
Frank Miller, yes. Which he considers Batman Year One canon for this. That's the beginning of this story.
Okay.
And he also there's a couple others that he believes are canon. That's his belief, kind of thing. Oh,
Gotcha.
All-Star Batman and Robin. I haven't read that. It is now on my.
I don't. Did they ever finish it? I thought Frank
No,
Miller came.
they canceled it. No, I'm going to read it. I think I've read it before, but I'm going to read it again because I want to.
I like Death in the Family. I mean, not that I like it, but it's.
I don't. I
Story
think the Killing Joke. That's the one where they rape. The Joker rapes Commissioner Gordon, and
That's very much implied, and he maybe rapes Barbara Gordon
when he paralyzes
her.
Yeah, I did not like the fact that one, it is not canon, by the way, but then they decided, but Barbara Gordon is paralyzed now, and the
Correct.
Joker did it, so it's not. So something like that happened. It's like, for the love of God, I kind of feel like that was a fridging moment.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with that. I'm trying to see if
Because
there's
she's such a great character as Batwoman. They did a good job. The rehabilitation of the character with the Oracle thing was good, but I love her Batgirl,
Yes. No, I did too.
and I like that they brought her back. Have we read?
Again, agree.
Did we read some Batgirl? Have
No,
I suggested
we read
that
the
yet?
Batwoman when she's mute. Remember?
Yes. No, we read that Batgirl. We haven't read any Barbara Gordon Batgirl.
No,
we'll
I
have
don't
to
think
do
we
some
have.
of that. We'll have to do some of that because
We
there's
mentioned
some.
Birds of Prey too.
Yeah, I
with
mentioned
Oracle.
we'll read Birds of Prey with Oracle, but they brought Batgirl back, and I liked it because some of it was fun. It's fun. It's fun. I like more fun Batman comics. This was great. I'm not knocking that, but you know what I mean. I like the Bat family.
Like when Batman's cracking jokes in Justice League International.
No, I like good Batman stories.
Huh? Uh-huh. Okay, so yeah, this is at least maybe top 20 Batman stories ever. No, it is. It's up there. I do like. I don't know if "like" is the right word.
It's okay to like this.
No,
you can like it.
The Killing Joke is up there for because
okay
the
to
Killing
like it,
Joke,
yeah.
as opposed to this, I did not pick up when I was a youngster. For whatever, a Killing Joke came out in '88. I was in 7th, 8th grade, time wise. That's when I just started going to a comic book shop that my mom would take me to, and I saw Killing Joke on the stand, and I picked it up, and I think I've mentioned this before on the pod even, where I was reading this thinking, I'm pretty sure I should not be reading this. This is fucking dark, but it's awesome. Holy crap. And then like, who's this Alan Moore guy? You never heard of him. So I do, yeah, that's one of my top Batman stories as well. I also like the one that we read, Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader.
Oh yeah, I like that, but that's Neil Gaiman.
Well, yeah, like duh, it's gonna be good.
Dead Boy Detectives on Netflix. On Netflix,
I saw that.
Watch Dead Boy Detectives. It was delightful.
Is it a spin-off of them? Because
Yes.
they were on Doom Patrol, the Dead Boy Detectives.
It is not a spin-off of that. It is a spin-off of them from the Sandman.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's they did the Sandman on Netflix, and now they spun off the Dead Boy Detectives.
Gotcha.
And Sandman, I think, has more seasons. I've never watched the Sandman series, but they've been hyping. I've been reading about the Dead Boy Detectives, and I'm like, you know what? I'll watch episode 1, and then I burned through all 8 episodes in like 2 days. I was like, nope, I'm all in.
Oh, cool.
It was,
Good to know.
but it's not like literature. It's not, but it was fun. It was.
I was hoping it was fun.
Oh
I was
my
hoping
god,
they
it
had
was
fun
so
with it.
enjoyable. It's fairly darkish because I mean there's definitely
Yeah.
some dark, but it's just so well done and so well acted and so I
Okay.
I
I
enjoyed
want-
it.
I know,
greatly.
I
oh,
saw
for the
it
love
and
of
I-
God, why won't you watch this, Hot?
Because I know better than to, you said to rewatch V, the limited series from the 80s, because you claimed it held up. And I sat through all of that, my friend. And I hold you personally accountable.
I
for
stand by that. That is the greatest science fiction show that has ever aired.
I think it is streaming somewhere.
Oh,
and
I'm sure it is.
I don't know how many times I've started to rewatch Battlestar Galactica from '04, but it's on Prime now, I want to say, if you include it with your subscription. Speaking of shows to watch. No, I'm glad Dead Boy Detectives, it is called Dead Boy Detectives, so it's going to be a little dark, but I'm glad that they had fun with it. And that makes me even more so want to watch it. And while we're talking about Netflix recommendations, Will Forte, this is not even a comic book thing. Will Forte is in a show about a true crime podcast story they're doing in a small Irish town that is freaking hilarious, called Bodkin, Bodkin.
Okay.
And it's hilarious and dark. And
Okay.
it's pretty good. I only watched a couple episodes of it, but I'm in.
What's the name?
Just so you know. What?
What was the name again?
Bodkin, B-O-D as in David.
No, I got you.
K-I-N.
That's I just forgot because I was listening to what else you were saying while trying to write it down. I was like, I should re-ask the question. Okay. So we don't really have anything for the middle here. I've already we both have Blue Sky accounts. I'm at Herring Red. It's not the same. If you just type in Herring Red, you'll find me. If you type in Hav Gonzo, you'll find Hav in the search bar. If you type in JCTC, you will find the unpaid intern who's quite sassy.
Yes.
I would like to request that everyone that has a Costco account take part in my guerrilla marketing campaign that I did.
That's right.
So I was in Costco on whatever day that was. Was it Friday? I think I was in Costco on Friday, and I was looking at the iPads because I was like, I could buy a new iPad. I'm not gonna, but because my iPad works, and that's the thing. Apple complains about this. They last so long, and people just don't get new ones. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Why am I going to do it?
I'm still rocking an iPhone 8 or something.
There you go. So I was looking at it, and they had a little widget thing at the top that said, must open iPod app to populate this. And I was like, oh, really? So I opened up the iPod app. I searched Hav and Charles Talk Comics. I clicked follow on that iPad.
Ha!
And then I started to play the first episode, and then I went back to that screen, and it had populated Hav and Charles Talk Comics and that. So
and then he sent me
left
and
it, yeah.
C0 a screenshot. Which
Yeah,
is awesome.
I took a picture of it and showed it to them just because I found it amusing that I'm like, yes, is this guerrilla marketing? So if you have a Costco account, or if you're at anywhere that has iPhones on display or iPods on display, if you want to do that, screenshot it and send us that via our thing. I will find that hilarious. And I just, please, if you have an Apple store and you want to go and put it on literally every device that you come across.
Hey, if somebody really does that, I will, and you want to share your mailing address, I will send you a comic book. I will find a comic book to send you out of my collection. Promise.
I would love to continue that almost gag. Although I do think this is a brilliant marketing tactic. I really don't. I get it. As I said, this is at one. What did I put on? You can get subscribe to where you find Hav and Charles Talk Comics on anywhere that you get your podcasts, or on one single iPad in one single Costco
retail store. Yeah,
one Costco
Yeah.
in Dallas, Texas, and it's probably been fixed by now. But
I would venture to guess maybe.
yeah, but I'm gonna go back and buy another pair of jeans
Oh, there you go.
today, so I might redo it.
Oh, that's great. Oh, well, hey.
Yeah,
I'm
this
glad
was a
we
good
finally-
pod. Yeah, this was a good pod. So what are we gonna suggest for next time?
I know. So I suggested Panic in the Sky, Superman, a multi-issue through all the Superman titles at the time. And I should have.
I am putting a fucking page count on you.
Okay, did you finish all? Did
I
you
did.
stop it?
I did. I read the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, I did not realize they were going to go so far after Panic in the Sky.
Because it was nice and concise, and they did like what, 4 more issues?
Yes.
I mean, 4 it's just like, what the
That really
fuck?
that didn't have
Or
anything
almost
to do.
5. No, there were some tangential effects from that in it. But yeah, they were just
Okay, so look.
page count, dude, page count.
No, and I get that, and I didn't. When I suggested the collection, I thought it was just going to be Panic in the Sky. I didn't think.
I did too. A matter of fact, I was looking at the page count as we were reading it, and I was like, wow, this Panic in the Sky thing seems to be wrapping up rather quickly, and there's like 100 pages or 120 pages left. I'm like, okay, well maybe it's like
Same.
because the Dark Knight Returns had like 50 to 60 pages of just ancillary stuff that they do in these big graphic novels. This thing literally was what, 300 pages of
Yes.
just
Comics.
old comics.
So it started. It's just the big synopsis. Look,
I enjoyed it, by the way.
I'm glad you did.
I did. I really did. It wasn't, by the way, by no means was this, oh my God, this is great. This is awesome. It was an enjoyable, kind of fun comic. It truly was. I don't even want to say it's from its time because it was in the fucking mid 90s. Early 90s. Comics had been changing for a while, and it was definitely stuck in an 80s.
So just to give it time and place, if the first issue of this arc was February of 1992. It's
the last issue of the arc, to give you an idea how long it was January of 2014.
Yeah, well, I didn't look at that, but Death of Superman comes close on the heels of this.
Oh,
I think,
so
in the next year or two.
Oh, okay, so they were like, oh dear God, we got to do something. Let's murder this guy.
And this is when they would at this point in time they started having what they call these Superman summits, because they had Superman going in these 4 different titles. You had Action Comics, you had Superman, you had Man of Steel, and you had Adventures of Superman.
Okay.
4 different titles, and they started a thing where they would all be interconnected and would go from issue to issue to issue. So if you read Superman, you couldn't just read Action Comics or Superman. You had to pick up all 4 titles, which is, I don't know if it's brilliant's the right word, to get people to buy more issues. If you're a Superman fan and you really want to keep up with the story, you got to buy all 4 issues.
It's kind of a dick move, because when they had 4 titles with Spider-Man, they had 4 different stories running in those 4 different titles. So
on rare instances they would have some
sometimes
crossover.
They would do
sometimes.
And they would put some things in it, because I used to pick up, when I was reading regularly, I read Amazing, I read Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yep.
It eventually ended up as Spectacular. I mean, they kept shortening it, but that was, I was like, wait, is this the same? I was like, wait, because as a kid you're like, oh, I didn't realize you just lopped off Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man. Web of Spider-Man came out when I was a kid, and then they had Classics, which was just, they were reprints that I used to get a bunch of the reprints.
And then back in the 80s, they still had Marvel Team Up, which was Spider-Man.
Well, that's right. I would read Marvel Team Up as well sometimes. So all of those, sometimes there would be some interconnectivity, and they would reference what was going on, but most of the time it was just its own linear story.
Right. And I remember there were different focuses, I think, on those. Like
absolutely.
Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man was more about his kind of personal stuff going on, I felt like.
Some of it, yes.
Or focused more on him, and then Amazing was more of the big stuff, and Web of Spider-Man was more, I forget, street level? I don't know.
Well,
it was well done.
When Web of Spider-Man came out, they were also doing, it was a completely different art, because it was, I almost want to say, now looking at it, thinking back, and this is just me trying to visualize some Web of comics, it was more like anime kind of art, but like the pop anime stuff. It was just a different art. It was like different. more cartoony as opposed to comic booky. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And it was really weird. Because me talking about, I don't really notice the art. I really noticed the art difference.
Well, so in this, so they were having these Superman summits back even before this, because this is how they coordinated. They would meet once a year. And apparently, every so often, Jerry Ordway, one of the writers on this, one of the Superman titles at the time, would always jokingly say, well, why don't we just kill him off? And shortly after this, they eventually did it. Yeah. And I think maybe because, you know what? Superman's, like all these characters, it's been around for a while.
Yes.
And you can, they did a lot of stuff with Soul Soups.
Well, they knew they had to reboot him because he was overpowered. I mean, at that point, because they were talking about it, they had overpowered him, because in the 50s, the comic book writers would, every time to get out of something, they'd create a new power.
He could duplicate himself.
Yeah, I mean,
miniaturize himself.
Yes,
it was weird.
The powers he had, because they just like, how do I defeat this monster that's different? Oh, well, let's use this new power. It's like, okay.
That thing that he does weird at the end of Superman 2 with his shield thing coming off was something that they yanked from some obscure comic book, apparently from like the 50s or 60s, where that was a thing.
Yes.
Anyways, so speaking of rebooting him, Superman had a kind of resurgence in around 88, because that's when John Byrne took over and stayed on the titles for just a little while, because it was right after Crisis on Infinite, or maybe 86 actually. I think it's 86. Crisis on Infinite Earths had come out in 85. Then you had Legends, and then you had the reboot of Superman titles with John Byrne being writer and artist on 2 or 3 of the titles, and then I think Jerry Ordway was actually the artist on Adventures of Superman. So they had already rebooted him, by the way, and then they still got back to this stuff in '92, which is fine. I also enjoyed the story. I also, though, was like, oh my God, I didn't mean for us to read 13 issues, I think it was.
Okay, we can just talk about the Panic at the Disco.
Yes, I think that's a pop band, a pop rock and roll band. If I remember my circulars,
which clearly they stole the name of this from.
Do you think Panic at the Disco was around in '92?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Maybe it was vice versa. Maybe they're big comic fans.
Maybe they are. Panic in the Sky? Well, I got your Panic in the Disco. I've got to say Panic in the Disco is a relatively new group.
Possibly.
Like
I know.
Relatively new meaning in the last 20 years.
I think you are correct. Yeah, they formed in 2004.
There you go. Anyway, so the whole thing in this, look, the big story plot line, to just give everybody a general overview. Look, let me back up. There are a lot of the people on Superman comic book Twitter people that Panic in the Sky is one of their favorite comics of Superman for that era, especially, if not ever.
Okay.
I'm not trying to compare this to Dark Knight at all. It's apples and oranges. For a fun Superman story that brings in a lot of supporting characters from other titles, it is awesome.
It is.
And the whole thing is Brainiac has put together a group of villains or people that he's controlling or manipulating and he's taken over Battleworld, which Superman had done the whole Mongol thing and fought through Battleworld previous to this. So now and it's a reveal at the end of issue 1 that Brainiac's in charge of Battleworld. He's got the Matrix Supergirl he's controlling her. Draga's the one that Superman defeated at Battleworld. He's got him on his side, and he's got Maxima, Lady Maxima, who is this uber-powered villain that wanted wanted Superman to be her mate, and he said thanks but no thanks. And so she literally, stealing your thunder, says this at one point, that she is a woman scorned by Superman, and that's why she's teamed up with Brainiac. Although Brainiac's kind of using something against her too. I think he destroyed her world or something or some such.
Yeah, he conquered her world and took over
with Battleworld and blah blah blah. So all that, Brainiac's little skull head comes to Earth, and hijinks ensue because he's going to bring the pain and the hurt to Earth, and they need to stop it before it gets to Earth. So Superman enlists the help of a bunch of his super friends.
Yes.
And it's everybody.
Oh, it's a big group fight. They have to they split up. It is an event. It is definitely an event that just took place in the Superman comics. And yes, I just said Spider-Man because I did notice a couple of things, and I screenshot a couple of things just because they were throwing some, I swear it was slightly throwing shade or homages to Marvel, except I think it was throwing shade because I screenshot 2 things, and I think I noticed a couple other things, but one is Lois and Superman are on a pier that he's just come out of the water, and she said, "Yup, and recorded your victory with my handy dandy automatic camera. After all, I am the best there is at what I do."
Ah, okay, I didn't notice that.
So Lois said that, and then later, there's Superman is telling the inspector everything is under control, Inspector Turpin. These wall crawlers won't be giving you any trouble now.
I remember the wall crawler thing. Like,
so that was the second one. See, because I saw the first one. So they teed off. They stole the phrase of the 2 most popular, absolutely in '92, the 2 most popular Marvel characters.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? I noticed a wall crawler thing, and there were intergang members that I was like, do they crawl walls? I think they're just kind of thugs.
Yeah, yes. So it was just a throw-in wall crawler, and I was like, oh wow, that was a conscious decision on both of those.
Yes. And let me just, because I like to do this, on Action Comics, you had Roger Stern, to me, the great Roger Stern, who had my favorite run on Avengers, with art by Bob McLeod, who also did art on the original New Mutants run back in the 80s. On Superman Man of Steel, you had Louise Simonson doing the writing with John, I don't know how to say his name, I don't know that I've ever heard his name said out loud, Bogdanov? B-O-G...
Bogdanov?
D-N-O-V-E? Bogdanov?
Bogdanov.
And Louise Simonson, of course, had a great run on one of my favorite comics from the 80s, X Factor. Superman, just Superman itself, was Dan Jurgens. He was writer and the penciler on that. And Dan Jurgens, to a lot of people, is, you say, Dan Slott's your favorite Spider-Man writer. I know that there are a lot of people that think Dan Jurgens is the bee's knees when it comes to both art and writing on Superman.
Okay.
And then Adventures of Superman, writer was Jerry Ordway, who also was an artist at one point, but the art on that was done by Tom Grummett. And Tom Grummett had a very 90s style of art, I noticed. A little more 90s than most of them on this. So those are the creatives on this. And yeah, it's they bring in everybody. It's because Superman's Brainiac takes Orion captive and Light Ray from the New Gods. So then you got the New Gods coming in, and you got the
Mobius chair.
You got the Mobius chair, and that ends up with this character Dublix that I've never heard of before. Who's a telepath,
who's a super telepath, but partnered with the Mobius chair, he becomes even more super telepathic.
Yes, you get the people of what are they called? The Forever People are also kind of in the Fourth World New Gods universe that Jack Kirby created. They're the hippie people from that Jack Kirby stuff, and then when they all unite as one, they become Infinity Man, which you get to see in this, which is another Jack Kirby creation, which of course makes my Jack Kirby pants go crazy. And Metal Men, Elongated Man, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Batman, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold.
No Plastic Man though.
No Plastic Man.
I pointedly noticed that and was disappointed because I'm not a big fan of the Justice League group books. One of the things I like is when he just pops up in those, because he's truly funny when he does it. Unlike what I'm sure is your favorite scene in this that I screenshot, and it's
Captain Marvel and Guy Gardner banter.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so great.
No, it was terrible.
I know.
Gardner saying, I forgot what a master of obvious you were, Captain Whitebread. We can see that old fish breath get his fins clipped by Brainiac's ship. And then Scott Free, maybe, put a sock in at Gardner. Was that Scott Free?
Yeah, that was Scott Free.
And then Batman says, can't say that I missed the banter of my former colleagues.
From Justice League. Exactly.
Yes,
Fire and Ice Fire and Ice are in it.
Yeah,
Nightwing is in it.
I knew you would like that, and I'm
costume.
like, that is just such a bad exchange. And I think you and I have some comedic differences, I think is the thing.
This is a polite way to say it.
Well, yeah. Well, no, we
do.
both
Yeah.
we like different things in comedy. You're a hack, and I'm not. So
I will beat that horse to death.
It's not even that. It's not even the beating the horse to death. You just like kind of hacky comedy.
I do like hacky comedy.
And that's fine. I see the point of hacky, but I like that. If I like what I would consider kind of hacky is when it's the step above that. It's, yes, I'm doing this bit that's kind of hacky, but it transcends it. I want you to go deep. I want esoteric.
And I like that kind of comedy too.
I like esoteric. I like funny shit.
I like to
be surprised. I very rarely, if you tell me a joke that in the first 2 lines of the setup I get where it's going, I'm not going to laugh because I'm just I see.
And I like next level comedy too, but I also like my Laurel and Hardy and my Three Stooges and my Marx Brothers.
Okay.
Although Marx Brothers was also a level above too. There's some political commentary in there, but. No, as an example, the whole joke, there's the 2 different jokes. 2 hobos are eating a clown, and one looks at the other and says, "Does this taste funny to you?"
I love that joke.
And then the other joke is 2 clowns are eating a hobo, and one turns to the other and says, "I think we're doing this joke wrong."
Yeah.
So I get that there's multiple layers to the.
Yeah, I know.
I
know. No, I know. Dude, I tease you. I tease you. This is all teasing. I do want to talk about one thing because Deathstroke is in here.
Yes, he is.
So Deathstroke is in here, and there's a bit that goes on online where someone will make a comment online. Generally, the way it works is a woman posts something about something, and then some man comes underneath it and writes something, well, I don't think you read the article, or I don't think you understand what this is, and tries to mansplain to it, and then their response is, well, I wrote the book. Or I wrote the article, so I know exactly what's in it. And so, no, I think I understand it better. I mean, and that's this big trope. Somebody recently put up as an example of that, and I think they really missed it, was somebody said, well, it's very well known that Deadpool was a ripoff of Deathstroke. So right underneath it, right underneath it, what's his name, who created Deadpool, replies, it is not. It is not.
Rob Liefeld.
Rob Liefeld said, it didn't have anything to do with Deathstroke. And then the guy's like, oh no, I think he's like, and they're like, oh, you're an idiot. This is the actual creator. He knows it. And it's like, bullshit. It is a complete and total, absolute goddamn fucking ripoff of Deathstroke. It's Slade Wilson and Wade Wilson. They both carry swords. They both do this. He didn't, I'm sorry. He added the fact that he heals instead of just being a mercenary.
Right. And something about Rob Liefeld, too, that everybody needs to remember on that end of New Mutants run, and when they changed it to X-Force, he wasn't the writer. Fabian Nicieza was the writer.
Everything we like about Deadpool, nothing we like about Deadpool came from Liefeld.
Correct.
Except
for his tiny little baby feet. I love those. I love his little tiny baby feet.
I don't even think that lasts. But the fact that he has the audacity to go on and say, "Oh no, I didn't, dude. It's fine. You ripped it off completely." And and other people helped make it great.
I don't say a lot of these creators' names out loud, or have ever tried to say them out loud. Fabian Nicieza, I'm gonna say Nicieza, American Argentine comic book writer. From my quick Google, I've never met anybody with that last name before. Of course, I know a couple Argentinian people, or Argentinian descent. But anyways, so when people start saying, "Oh, well, Rob Liefeld's a go-to source," for the design of the character, maybe, but come on, give credit where credit's due.
Yeah,
he was not the writer on that, which drives me insane. Okay, but I did think. Okay, speaking of Deathstroke, I do also find it interesting in this that, as opposed to almost every other time when you have a big group and they're kind of come up with some big strategy, the go-to person's Batman. This one, they're like, "Oh, Batman, you're going to be on charge of the ground. Deathstroke's doing the warfare in the space." In
fairness, Deathstroke's probably better at that kind of stuff than Batman. This is literally war, and he's a mercenary, and that's what. Yeah, This is his thing. Batman is a crime fighter. You know my thing on Batman, and the Batman's genius is overrated, and it's become a trope. And I'm not saying he's clearly smart, but this, I can destroy everybody. I'm like, let's slow this down just a bit. I like at least a modicum of. I like characters with flaws.
Sure.
This idea that a lot of comic fans have of building up a character where they can do no wrong. I mean, good Lord, the success of Spider-Man is because of his flaws. The success of Wolverine is because, dude, that guy's got some flaws. I mean, I mean, all of these, a lot of great characters are all about their flaws.
I agree.
It's amazing they've been able to do such good things with Superman because he doesn't have that many flaws.
Well, they keep on having to depower him.
They do have to depower him a little bit, and they built in the thing of how much he holds back. That's the thing, too. They do it the same thing kind of with Spider-Man when they talk about it, and the realization of how much he holds back when he's fighting.
Well, and speaking of Superman, one thing that John Byrne definitely brought to Superman's as a character that was new at the time in the late 80s was the whole vulnerability to magic.
Yeah, that's cool. He needs a vulnerability.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought that was older. I thought he was always, because the Mr. Mxyzptlk with Fifth Dimensional Magic from back in the 60s when that came out, and I think he was vulnerable to magic back then too. I think that was kind of one of those magic can F with him.
Well, maybe they made it a bigger deal.
Well, but you've got to have something. You've got to have, and I don't know for sure. I could be wrong. I would love it if one of our astute listeners that's a Superman aficionado could write something and send it in.
Because I am not. I picked up Superman intermittently on occasion. Like I did pick up when John Byrne rebooted it, because that was definitely, that was Infinite Crisis. That was right in the middle of, right before Justice League and Justice League International. And John Byrne was a known commodity to me because I loved his run on Fantastic Four, which I was picking up before he switched. That's where he went after Fantastic Four. I think he went directly from Fantastic Four to Superman and switched companies back then. So, but my knowledge of Superman lore and history and continuity is deplorable to the point where there's so much going on in this, by the way. You have to read it very closely to pick up on a lot of the backstory and who the characters are, but it was good. You also get, real fast, other characters. You get the female Dr. Fate in this, because at one point in time, Dr. Fate was female. You get Guy Gardner and Kilowog Green Lanterns.
Fucking woke.
Right?
I loved
in the
90s. I loved when they used Kilowog when they got the device off of his head and he collapses because he's a heavy hitter. I mean, he's a bruiser heavy hitter, but Superman's like, "Oh, good, you're here, and I need you to do." And he starts doing all this technical stuff. It's like, you're just not a thug. I need you to do this other stuff. This is what I really need you to do. And I was like, okay, I liked that. Because I like that. Okay, just because somebody's strong, he's a big strong alien, but he's also a big strong smart alien.
Yeah, super smart.
Yeah, that must get, I'm gonna guess, get short shift in a lot of the comics when he's involved, especially from a group book. I mean, it might be, I don't know enough about Green Lanterns to know, but maybe in the Green Lantern comics, yes, he's known for his smarts, but every time I'd ever seen him before, it was just like, oh, that's Kilowog. He's gonna go bludgeon, and
And I don't know. I think we both are more Marvel centric.
Yes,
when we were reading comics.
I definitely was. Yes, I never read any DC.
I read very little DC, but I remember seeing the Green Lantern comics and thinking they looked cool. But again, find out resources.
See, I just never. Space comics have never been my thing. Even now, although I've read some Superman, I've read some Star Wars comics and I've enjoyed that, but that's just Star Wars, and it doesn't matter how you feed me Star Wars, I will gobble it up like a baby getting candy.
It takes a while to get to the big battle, but so there's some boots on the ground heroes for the heroes, Batman, Nightwing. You get some other guys that I never heard of before. Gangbuster was one.
I have. There were too many characters, but I get why it was a world-ending fight, so I get why there was so. Yeah. Now, one of the things I loved was Brainiac was so sure of his plan and everything that happened. Why, I've planned for this and I've planned for that. So just high on his own supply the entire time, and the whole time it keeps looking like Superman has planned this whole thing out. And he's got code words because Brainiac can read minds, so you got to be careful and kind of wait for the right time to do things. And they're using old Kryptonian words to spark the next thing, and they are hitting every level. Even as things go wrong, it's still kind of planned for, because it's just bang, everything works the way Superman wants it to work, because he's expecting it not to go great. So but he's outsmarted Brainiac the entire way.
Nitpick real fast. Okay. Brainiac is of Krypton, right?
I don't know. It depends.
I don't know about this.
I know.
I think so.
Brainiac has so many different iterations.
Well, this one had the weird mustache too, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't remember ever seeing that one. That was so unsettling for some reason.
Yeah, that was weird.
I just wanted him to twirl the end of his mustache and put a top hat on him.
That's the kind of mustache it was. I think that was.
Yes,
you have to show. It's like, is this the '60s and you have to show he's evil? But he didn't have any hair when he was in the '50s and the '60s. So I don't know why all of a sudden he has a
like a Fu Manchu.
It's a silent movie kind of.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I get.
He did have some down here too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, on the chin too. Maybe?
Yeah, it was
weird.
It may have been but questionably. That might get them canceled if we really poke. Hey, wait a minute! You're right. Is this some kind of sinister Oriental?
Superman's plan is going so well that at different points in time, Maxima's his kind of right hand woman keeps on saying, well, what about they just did this? And he's like, don't worry about that.
Yeah. No. They can't beat me.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. I'm not worried about that. But it's like, well, they just did this. You didn't anticipate that. Don't worry about that. But he says it like 4 or 5 times. Yeah. Like, dude, this is not going to plan.
Well, he's like Brainiac's like Luthor.
Yes.
He can't be wrong.
Did you like Lex Luthor II?
Yes, but only because I know about it.
Okay.
because it's not Lex Luthor the second. That is Lex Luthor. Yeah, he has cloned himself, or he did something. I think
trick everybody.
Yeah, he. I think he cloned himself and put his consciousness into. I can't remember, but I've read some of this, and now I see, because some of the stuff I've read about him was and Supergirl was with him, so I see now where Supergirl came from, because I thought they got together, and I still think that's probably why she was immediately. This was in the next set of comics that wasn't this. I think it was because Lex Luthor in that other dimension created her, so she trusts Lex Luthor, because it was a completely different Lex Luthor with the same fatal flaw as we've discussed. But so when she's like, "Oh, I see who this is," and he's like, "Oh, I can have a Superman person is my slavishly devoted to me."
So that's that's absolutely right. I was wondering if that's why she immediately, when in the later issues when she pulls him out, pulls that. Yeah. Anyways, yes, agree. At the right before the big battle is coming to a climax, at one of the end panels, Brainiac has his little mind control hat on.
Yes.
Everybody, and I had to make a list. I was like, Jesus Christ, come on. He's controlling Rocket Red, or Red. I think it's Rocket Red.
Yeah, it's Rocket Red.
Man.
Yes.
Guardian, Agent Liberty, Flash, Guy Gardner, Fire and Ice, Booster, Deathstroke, Mon-El, I think, is a Daxamite.
Yes.
And then Metamorpho.
Yes.
He's got all of them on his side, and yet apparently it's just, you just have to take the little hat off.
Well, yeah, that was that was a very comic booky thing. All you have to do is get the hat off. Which makes sense if it's a thing that's controlling you, that's on you, if you take it off. I mean, that's okay.
And then in the next issue, to cut off Brainiac from his whole apparatus of controlling Battleworld and his little skull thing, Flash gets near him enough to throw a piece of glass and cut the cord on his head, and then he loses control of everything.
Yeah, he needed wireless. He needed wireless.
Well, Wi-Fi, easy there.
Yeah.
Brainiac didn't have Wi-Fi back then.
I know.
Come on.
Well,
He had AOL dial-up.
Yeah, I mean, he's advanced technology. You do gotta love that sometimes.
I do love that. I'm sorry, I'm nitpicking. These are all nitpicks.
No. What I'm saying is, you gotta love looking at something older like this and going, yeah, that's not this advanced to technology. They'd have Wi-Fi. It's the Star Wars thing, and I'm glad they kept it. It's the Star Wars thing in the 70s when it came out, and all of this spacefaring race has all of these. They don't even have camera. I mean, they have holograms, but they don't have computer screens that show anything other than line drawings on all their stuff. It's like, okay, that's hilarious.
But they can move in 3D sometimes in the Death Star plans.
Well, yeah.
So there's that.
Well, they have holograms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, you're right.
So, but it's like you were there. I mean, you were getting close. You can put it on a screen. You could. I like the fact that even if they have advanced it, they've kept it, because it's like, even though during wars technology advances at a great clip, because they're anyway.
Look, I'm nitpicking now because it's a fun story. If you want a fun world's gonna end invasion with Superman leading the charge, this is a comic for you. It also reminded me of something from years earlier, again during the Justice League run I read. It was a whole company-wide thing called Invasion, which maybe not this season, but it's a 3-issue thing that spread out across all the DC titles at the time. But it's eerily similar, but different bad guys, where there's an invasion of Earth coming. So I almost suggested that one instead of this one, but I wanted to do this one just because I wanted to do a Superman centric one, I guess, and we hadn't done one except for Red Sun, so never mind. I don't know why I'm saying that.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't read anything. Even this season, we've only, in 4 episodes, only read 2 Superman things.
I know, sorry. So
no, it's all right.
I take that all back. I know. But look, again, fun. The creatives on it are great. I like them all. And it was a fun story with a happy ending. And then, unfortunately, there was a post log of 73 issues. That went into all sorts of stuff.
I
don't know. I was like, why am I still reading this?
Well,
over.
The funny thing, Superman comes out of the shower down the hall. Hav, why are you still here? Go home.
Are you still?
The comic's over, Hav. It's like,
yes,
Superman, you did this to me. No, and they were. By the way, those comics weren't bad, but it was just like, why why is this all included in
Panic in the Sky?
In Panic in the Sky? It's not.
It was interesting. I was like, I didn't understand because they were threads that they
There
started,
were
I guess.
threads that they started there. It wrapped a bunch of stuff up. It had a one issue that wasted a calamity ending event, but it also set up Luther as saving it when they had the things coming down that was going to sterilize the earth, basically.
Yes, it was a new Panic in the Sky.
I
swear it was the title of it or something.
Yeah, and the solution to that was they got the code and they sent it out on a rocket ship and it's just going to chase it into the sky forever. It's like, okay, that was a simple solution, but it worked.
Yeah,
But no, it was, I don't regret reading those, but I was thinking, especially since we were on a short clock, we were supposed to, this is Sunday, we were supposed to record Thursday, and then I got Sunday off. So I was like, okay, let's do it Sunday morning. I was not done reading. I finished reading this on Thursday. I had already finished editing the podcast, but so Friday I read The Dark Knight Returns because I was like, okay, I've got to, and I finished that Friday night.
This had been so much recommended on comic book Twitter when I was still on Twitter a lot that I had checked it out and read it before, but
you'd forgotten that it went into that?
I stopped at the end of Panic in the Sky.
Okay.
When I read it the first time.
Okay.
Like over the holiday. Like I read it like months ago.
Okay.
So then last night I was like, well, let me go peruse this thing again.
Oh, so you didn't read all the rest of it?
Oh, I did. No, I did
Okay.
because I knew you probably did. But because the whole thing with Husk and everything and that scientist. Yes. Anyways.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
Didn't have anything to do with Panic in the Sky. But I remember when I read it back in December.
Kind of enjoyed that more than the whole group thing. I enjoyed the group thing, but I kind of enjoyed that because there wasn't so much fucking characters, so many characters going on.
Correct. Yes. It was good.
Which is I've mentioned before, that's kind of my problem with these group books.
Yes. No, the Husk thing was
too
good.
much shit going on.
Yes. There was a lot going on. And oh, by the way, of the actual Panic in the Sky, the last 3 to 4 issues is just all fight scenes, which is fun. I love that.
Yes, I know you do, and I'm like, okay.
But there's not a lot of plot. It's just like it's just battle.
Yeah,
splash page, splash page.
Yeah, and that's not the reason I read anything.
You did get the maniacal laugh of Metron at the end when he gets to take Brainiac with him. That it was funny because Metron gets released. He's the guy in the Mobius chair that's super smart for the New Gods. And at the very end, I'm sorry, this is a note I did take. He's gonna take Brainiac with him to like study him, I guess. I don't know, I think. And he laughs like real maniacally. And both Light Ray and Orion say, I've never seen Metron laugh ever before.
Well, does that mean that Brainiac took over Metron?
I don't know. And I'm wondering what's going on there or why he got all like, ooh, I'm going to pay back this son of a gun for messing with me because I'm Metron. He's like one of the they're all uber-powered New Gods, but Metron's kind of like a step below High Father and Darkseid, I feel like.
Okay.
So, because he can travel through time and space on his Mobius chair, by the way.
Okay. Well, who can't?
Okay. Right. No, I don't want anybody to feel like I'm short shrifting this.
Dude, we spent a long time on The Dark Knight.
Gotcha.
And
Which
if you're gonna, I was gonna say if we're gonna allot X amount of time and one's gonna be longer than the other, the Dark Knight probably deserved more talk.
Oh yes, definitely. And speaking to your thing, which I'm usually a fan of all the characters. There's so many characters that are just kind of there, like Metalmen. The Metalmen group just gets demolished by Kilowog, but you don't get to know them at all.
I have to say, I like the Metalmen.
Yes,
I always
awesome.
like the Metalmen. They are such a weird little thing, and their childlikeness and just something about them. Just every time they're in something, I'm like, I want more of them.
Just like every time I see Plastic Man.
Yeah, Plastic Man. I've said how much I just adore. I favored it, and I just haven't done it because there's this huge Plastic Man tome that came out, I think, in the 80s that I want to read, and I just haven't gotten the chance to.
The other group, I think, is the one I mentioned earlier, that when they all join forces into a super robot, Sorry, that's a different thing.
Voltron?
What? Voltron? No, I'm joking. But it's the group, the 60s hippie new guy group, the Forever people.
Okay.
Infinity Man is just a really weird, cool character, and that group is a weird, cool hippie thing that Jack Kirby created trying to be hip back then that I think somebody could do something kind of cool and funky with, especially somebody like Gail Simone or something. So those two groups in particular I wanted to mention, Metal Men and the Forever people.
The Forever people weren't in this, were they?
Yeah.
They were? Okay.
Yeah, they were.
I didn't. There were so many people.
And Infinity Man was, and then they formed into one to form
Oh, that's
Infinity
right.
Man.
That was what that was. Yes. Oh, while running through, well, maybe we should have, I think we should. And then because Captain Marvel loved Infinity Man.
Yes.
He's like, oh, I feel like we have something in common.
Yeah.
He made that comment. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. And you're like, well, if you guys could be Infinity Man this whole time, and he's uber powered, maybe do that earlier.
You're as powerful as Captain Marvel, so why aren't you? Well, I loved the at one point, was it, I think they did it with both, was Captain Marvel. There was a group with Captain Marvel was part of, and he's like, y'all go ahead. And he's just being dominated by this huge group, but he's holding him off. And they're like, we can't leave him behind. And isn't that when they turned into Infinity Man?
I think so.
When it was just like, okay, he's saying we should go because we can't help him in this. But wait, now we can. Now we have two super powered people. Yeah, okay.
Yes, that was the part. Absolutely. Look, we could talk more. There's a lot of issues, but I don't think we need to go blow by blow. Okay. It was a fun invasion comic book.
It was a fun, that whole, everything in that was fun. I'm not putting it on any kind of top 10 list, but I don't regret reading it.
Oh, good.
I regret having to read it in like
I'm sorry. I didn't even start to read it till last night. And then when I got to the point where it was over and I looked at the page count, I was like, oh, no. And it was so late. I was like, I'm not even going to text him. He's probably already read it.
Oh, yeah. You're saying this was last night? Yeah.
Because I was like, I've read this before. Let me just reread it again. It's probably like, even if it's 8 issues, I'll get through it, or 6 issues. And then when I saw the page, when I thought I was getting done and I tapped it to look at the page, I'm like, what? Oh, that's right. There's all this other, there's like, I swear to God, there's
at least 4 issues.
At least 4 or 5 issues after Panic in the Sky. They have like a literal parade.
Yes. Which, by the way, I don't get Superman. Well, I don't think we should have a parade. It's like, dude, the people are happy. The end of the world was coming and y'all saved them. Let them have a fucking parade. That one. You shouldn't take credit for doing something. People want to celebrate. Let them.
You're going to kill me. 6 issues after the parade.
6 issues.
6 issues after the parade. There you go.
How many issues was...
Up into the parade, because I had to number them 7 issues to get to the parade.
So 7 issues of the actual event, and then 6 issues.
No
wonder. I was like, good Lord.
No, that's why when I think, and I remember, because when I guess, hey, if you borrow something previously and then borrow it again, does it start you on the same page count? Have you ever noticed that? Because
it starts you where you were.
Where you've left off,
yeah,
even
it
if
always
you return,
starts you
it's returned.
That's right. Yeah, unless you finished it. Now, if you get all the way to the end and well, that's what I'm saying. It remembers, because sometimes I'm sure some people it takes more than 21 days to read something. That baffles me. But I mean, I sometimes just stop reading it, but then I just return it if I don't want to read it. But
right.
I cannot imagine anything taking 21 days to read.
Anyway, this is all Hoopla talk, everybody. Hoopla, it's free with your public library card in pretty much every big metropolitan area.
It's in some libraries. We have no knowledge of how many libraries it's in. It's not all libraries use it, but it's
a lot do. I know in Texas, because I remember one time I was out of town and I was like, I forget why. Anyways.
What do you mean? You were out of town and you got another library
card? And for some reason,
I
was having a problem. No, I was having a problem with my Hoopla, so I tried to subscribe through like Austin Library. System.
Oh, okay.
But then you needed to have an Austin library card.
Yeah, you have to have a library card.
Oh, duh. I should have thought
now,
of that since...
the Saxe library allows digital cards, and they have Hoopla, and I'm really considering getting a second login to Hoopla because of the problem we're having on getting things.
Yeah.
Plus, it would double my... but I don't know how that'll work. I was just looking at that, I think this morning or last night, just kind of perusing it, because Patrick sent me that, because he lives in Saxe. Hi, Patrick. Cool. Thank you, Patrick.
Hey, Patrick. Anything else, sir?
No, I don't have anything else. We need to discuss what we're going to read the next time.
Okie dokie. I know what I'm going to suggest.
So what is it? What is it, Hav? We're waiting with bated breath. Everyone is on the edge of their seats. Tell us, Hav. Tell us, Hav. Why aren't you telling us? Are you waiting for me to stop talking? You're probably waiting for me to stop talking. You know what? I'm going to stop talking. Let me know when you're ready and I'll stop talking. Are you ready now?
I am.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sensational She-Hulk.
Ooh. Wait.
From 1989. It's on the Hoopla.
Okay.
I'll send you a screenshot.
Excellent.
That is written and drawn by John Byrne.
Okay. Because I was like, we already did one. Didn't we read
We
She-Hulk?
did.
Okay. We did Dan Slott's.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me open up Hoopla because I can't remember the name of this. This is different. It is something that was suggested. I haven't read it, but it seems right up my alley. It's from Ed Brubaker. It is called Pulp. This is my memory doing this at this point because I still haven't gotten into Hoopla.
Okay.
No, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's called Pulp by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. It is a gorgeous original graphic novel from the best-selling creator of Kill or Be Killed, My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies and Criminals. Max Winters, a pulp writer in 1930s, finds himself drawn into a story not unlike the tales he churns out at 5 cents a world. Tales of a Wild West outlaw dispensing justice with a 6-gun. So,
interesting.
I thought it sounded fun. I apologize because I know you like to read just in tomes. It's only 77 pages.
That's fine. I think the collection I got on Hoopla is for She-Hulk is maybe the first 6 issues.
Okay, because we've been punishing each other, especially last week. And I know I say they're just picture books, but I mean The Dark Knight Returns is a lot of writing. I mean it literally, those 16 panel pages there's a lot of dense text because it's back and forth conversation on a TV show kind of thing, a lot of it. And then the Hobbs thing was just incredibly
Panic in the Sky
was just incredibly long.
Yes, it was. But a lot of cool fight scenes.
It was. Dude, my only complaint was the length. Literally, my only complaint. Yes.
Well, especially when almost half of it was ancillary.
And Guy Gardner was in it. Anyway.
I love it because he offends you because of the haircut.
It's I personally fucking attacked.
Guy Gardner also, I'm sorry, real fast. There's a reference because somebody mentions him having a head injury, and he's like, that kind of hurts.
I screenshot that, yes, because of
I
laughed because I understood the callback. I screenshot that. I forgot to bring that up. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Sorry.
Yes, because he had this look of, I do not. Well, he was offended by I don't have a head injury. Oh, you had a head injury because you were nice to people. You were nice to people.
Weirdly nice to people.
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody should hit him on the head again.
Right.
So,
well, everybody, thank you for listening as always. Hey, if you know anybody that maybe wants to listen to two guys banter about comic books and other random stuff, let them know about Hav and Charles Talk Comics. Charles, as usual, and I mean it every time, thank you for doing the podcast with me. Thank you for doing the heavy lifting, the editing, the producing, the publishing. I really, really, really do appreciate it. Patrick, thank you for everything you do for the website and otherwise. And thank you all for listening.
I thank you very much, everybody, for listening. I would like to apologize to Patrick. I saw Patrick Friday night at my niece's preschool graduation, and he had just listened to the last podcast, season 3, and he had also listened to, was that The Last Ronin? We did The Last Ronin on that one. He was perturbed at me about that because, as I mentioned, I thought Patrick knew all about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He did. He was offended that he was not on that podcast, that I did not get him on the podcast. He was explaining when we were asking, well, is this, when Hav, you were asking, well, is this Shredder or is this then there was the other, is this, he's like, yes, that's the person from the second arc. So I asked him to write a letter of everything he thought of that and send it to us. And he clearly hasn't had time to get it to us, and that's fine. But expect to hear from Patrick. And thank you, Patrick. You rightfully should call attention to where we have messed up on that, and we will read it on the pod, or we might have you on at some point to give us a lecture.
That would be cool.
Yeah, but or he could just record. He could record his. You could also, Patrick, you could record your thoughts and just send it to me, and I will drop it into a podcast. Patrick's rebuttal
that'd be awesome too.
Of The Last Ronin. So, and I hope I don't remember whether he said if he read it. I think he read The Last Ronin too. Yes, he read The Last Ronin. I mean, because that thing was freaking awesome.
It was great.
Thank you, Patrick, I gave you all your homework on what to do at Costco and other retail stores that sell any kind of device that does things. Please do that. Please screenshot it. Please let us know on our social media accounts. I truly would love it if someone would do this. I would love it even more if multiple people would do this. I think it would be hilarious, and y'all would rock. And you can, like I said, you can let us know about it on Blue Sky, where we are, or on through the website where you send us a message. Thank you, everybody, so much. Hav and I truly, truly enjoy doing this, and we truly want to thank all of you who do listen. Thank you. Please keep it up.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.